Hello guys, welcome to another video. If you like this type of content, don't forget to subscribe, like, and any feedback is welcomed in the comment section below. Today I'll give you a guide on Luna. Luna has been interesting to play with. She offers the best DPS buffs when it comes to skill power dependent descendants such as Lepic and Viesa, but she also has amazing clearing capabilities, rivaling those of Bunny. I will talk about 5 things in this guide, just like my other Sharon video: strengths, cons. This time I will give my feedback on her. After that I will go through how to progress towards her, and at the end I will have gameplay of her in action. So let's start. Starting with her strengths, Luna is the strongest buffer when it comes to skill power dependent descendants. She buffs crit damage, crit chance, and a little skill power. This with skill duration can be extended to provide even more extra damage. Not only that, she also has very strong MP regen buffs and skill cost reduction buffs, as well as a skill that fully resets the cooldown of your teammates. She also has a very strong AoE clearing with great range, and her offensive skill, mainly talking about the ulti, it does tick very fast, as someone like Viesa has set intervals on her ticks. She's also very active when it comes to gameplay. Some people may not like it, but I found that it lets my brain be stimulated while doing chores, such as gold farming, XP farming, or Kuiper farming. Starting on her cons, her modifiers being the buff modifiers on MP or the damage modifiers while using Noise Surge, they are very low. This makes her not deal any damage during Colossus fights, which links to her other weakness. She's very dependent on you having a skill power dependent descendant as a teammate. I've said this has her cons because, as an example, Enzo will buff the team and himself with crit chance, and in return, him and his teammates' firearms are going to deal a lot more damage. Eugene, he's also allowed to shoot his gun while healing his teammates. Another one of her cons is that duration doesn't affect the enhanced version of the skills while using Noise Surge. This makes building for her feel very constricting and almost forced to go either one way or another, but I did find a solution for this. Cooldown also doesn't affect her buffing skills for some reason. This means while they are down, you will spend your time shooting your special gun, which has extremely low damage modifiers and contribute to no damage at all. Also, to reach her max efficiency, she demands a lot of resources. Now for the feedback. Luna is a very interesting character. She forces you to be consistent on her timings, increasing the damage so drastically of your teammates with her buffs, and having an overall engaging design. There are 2 issues I would love them to address and fix so she can be as competent as her counterparts such as Enzo or Eugene. She deals no damage in the closest fights. This paired with the fact that you can't reduce her buff skills cooldown, you'll find yourself shooting with her normal gun while the skills are down and contributing to literally nothing. This can be fixed by either allowing skill cooldown to affect it or change the modifier. Also, her buffs on non-enhanced skills are meaningless. The MP modifier on these buffs are very low. On a max build where I can get around 700 MP, which is a lot of MP, she only gives 4.9 MP per second to her teammates and 24.5 skill power. And last but not least, the rhythm on her Q skill is too slow. There's almost no point using her Q on Noise Surge, as her ulti ticks 2 to 3 times as fast. This makes so when you're farming, the rhythm downtimes on her Q slow down the pace of the farm. And while you're technically dealing more damage on the Colossus with her Q, her modifiers are too low to be used on them. Okay, now for the builds. Before touching the builds, I have 3 builds: a max damage build, a support build, and a max range build for AoE clearing. The max damage build is not currently as efficient. I only did it to test how far I can push her, but hopefully in the future it can have its use. Starting off with the support build. For the Transcendent module, you go Nimble Footsteps. This will allow you to not invest so much on range and use more slots for MP and duration. Every time you buff an ally with a new buff, you get a stack. Every 2 stacks it increases the range of all skills by 10%. Then, after Nimble Footsteps, you go for Battle of Stamina, Skill Extension, and Maximize Duration. This will allow you to max the duration of your skills and get 4 extra seconds of its use. After taking care of the survivability and the duration, you start investing it for MP. You start by going Enlightenment, then Shield Conversion, and then finally Arc Conception. The reason to go Arc Conception last is because it takes very long to get the stacks, and if you dodge or roll, you will lose its stacks. After maxing your MP, you go for Skill Expansion for a little bit of range, and you'll be left with 3 slots which you can fit skill inside for extra crit. 1 can be used for some type of ground resistance, and the last one for dangerous ambush. This part you won't need it, but for the extra capacity that you have, this is the best use I've found. The purpose of this build was to max MP and duration, as it is what contributes to the buffs, and then fit the rest with a little damage module. Now for the max range build. This build you will use to grind any of the farms. I've not included multi-talented, as I found having extra range benefiting more than the damage, as I was pretty much one-shotting every monster with the high crit damage. Starting off, it is essential to go with Noise Surge. It changes your skills so they deal damage instead of buffing your teammates, removing their cooldown entirely and giving you a buff accordingly to which skill you use. I suggest using your ulti as it gives you a bigger sequence of nodes, therefore faster damage ticks. After Noise Surge, you go Maximize Power and Non-Attribute Specialist. The skill cooldown plus 50% is not gonna matter as it doesn't affect the skills. Then non-attribute specialist, it will give you a lot of skill power while fitting the right slot. After those three, you start investing on range. I started with skill expansion, then maximize range, and finally frugal mindset. After taking care of range, you start investing on crit and crit damage. This will exponentially increase the damage of your ticks. You start by going skill insight and skill concentration as it gives you the most amount of value for both stats. After these steps, I have a quick disclaimer. I've done what I found to be the most comfortable for me, but I will give you two options to go with. First option is to go front lines and emergency measures maxed and the level 2 stim accelerant. This will give you a decent survivability while giving you the most damage. Option 2 is to go frontlines maxed, stim accelerant maxed, and then emergency measures with low levels. This will give you the most survivability while having enough damage for the farms. But if you'd like to follow my third build, then you need a second emergency measures as the third build requires a max one. Now for the max damage build. In this build you start off with noise surge, stim accelerant, non-attribute specialist, and maximize power. Then after this you go with a little range with skill expansion, then start investing on skill crit. You go skill insight and skill concentration first, then front lines and emergency measures. Then after that you go with spear and shield for a little bit of defense and the skill power. Then to finish the build you add amplification control for some extra range without losing damage from negative modifiers. Once again, this build is not the most effective when it comes to farming or colossus fighting, but hopefully in the future if they do decide to fix the modifiers and increase it, then this build will be extremely effective. Now for the set, the gluttony one is going to be the best. It gives you a lot of uptime on your MP, as well as increasing the skill duration. The main thing that you want to focus for the external components is going to be the sensor, as it gives you max MP and your skills scale on max MP. Then for the reactor, I don't have the best reactor right now for support, but what you want for support is skill duration. And for clearing, you'd want skill critical hit rate and skill critical damage. Thanks for watching. Now I will give you with some gameplay.
Let's go! Enjoy yourself. This'll be fun. Feel the vibe. Up! Yeah, yeah. Change the beat. Let's pump it up.
Shield!